Saffron is committed to addressing all issues of antisocial behaviour that are reported to us, or that we become aware of. Your complaint will be treated in confidence, and we will keep you informed throughout the investigation. Sometimes problems can be solved by talking to the other person. They may not realise they're causing a nuisance. Saffron can also offer mediation in certain cases. In serious cases, we will work closely with the police, the council's community safety team, and others to try to solve the problem. We can take a range of legal actions, including applications for injunctions, orders prohibiting the antisocial behaviour, and possession orders, which could lead to eviction. As we explained earlier, if the person causing antisocial behaviour is a starter tenant, we can take appropriate action to end their tenancy.
Well, let's now look at other areas of the tenancy. What about changes tenants might want to make to their homes?
Well, of course, tenants don't have to ask permission to redecorate or put up a shelf, but for larger improvements, they must contact their area housing officer. So, just to give you a few examples, you need to ask permission if you'd like to install a new bathroom suite, or a kitchen, or add a conservatory, or a garden shed. You'd also need permission to put up a new fence, or dig a pond, or to carry out electrical work or install a satellite dish. Now, in all these cases, you must contact your area housing officer before work starts. They'll be able to tell you if you need our permission and also whether planning or building control should be involved. You should speak to your area housing officer just to check if you need our permission or if you have any doubts about what you need or about what you can do.
Now, do you often refuse permission?
Generally, we won't withhold permission unless it involves costs to us, or if it makes your home less safe or energy efficient, or disadvantages other residents. Now, as I mentioned earlier, starter tenants must wait until they become assured tenants before carrying out improvements.
Now, do you impose any conditions?
Well, we always specify that the work must be carried out by a competent person. Sometimes we specify that the installation must be removed at the end of the tenancy and the property reinstated to its former condition. On the other hand, a tenant may be eligible for compensation for certain works at the end of their tenancy. Again, the area housing officer will be able to discuss this before work starts.
Well, talking about the end of a tenancy, let's find out what is involved.
If you want to end the tenancy, you must give us at least 4 full weeks' notice. When you contact us, we will send you a tenancy termination form. If you don't give us 28 days' notice, you will be charged rent to cover this period. And please don't just move out or abandon the property. If you do, rent will be due for the time it takes to make sure that you've actually left and to end your tenancy. The only times you don't have to give this notice are when we offer you a transfer, when you exchange homes with another tenant, or, understandably, when you die. In this case, the next of kin or executor gives 28 days' notice to end the tenancy and clear the home. Saffron can end the tenancy if you break your tenancy conditions, for example, by not paying your rent or demonstrating antisocial behaviour. If we do, we must give you the right period of notice, which is usually 28 days, and we can't make you leave without a court order. When you leave, you must ensure your home is clean and clear of all contents, with no rent owing and the keys returned to us by 9 a.m. on the final Monday morning. There must be no damage, no outstanding repairs for which you are responsible, and if we've told you to reinstate something at the end of the tenancy, you must do this. If you don't, we can recharge you.
Now, sometimes people need to move home, perhaps because their family has got bigger or even smaller, possibly for other reasons. Now, how is this possible?
Well, there are several ways to move. Tenants can transfer to another property, and in order to do this, they need to register on the Home Option Scheme and are given a priority which reflects their need for rehousing. They'll also be advised about what type or size of property they can bid for. We've agreed at Saffron that 20% of all our vacant homes will go to people who want to transfer. For tenants with a low priority on the Home Options Register or who want more flexibility, there's a mutual exchange. Now, this is when one tenant swaps home either with another Saffron tenant or a tenant from another landlord. You can even do a mutual exchange to another part of the country. You should always make sure that you view the property fully before making a decision to exchange.
Now, what happens if the tenant dies, leaving other family members or carers in the property?
Well, in certain circumstances, they may be able to take on the tenancy. That's something called succession. This particularly relates to the spouse or the partner of the tenant, but other relatives or carers may also be eligible, and your area housing officer can give you more advice.
Well, let's now look for a minute at living in your home.
Yes, you do need to live in the home we've given you. You can't let someone else live in your home instead of you. This is called subletting. Sometimes being away from home can be unavoidable. For example, if you have to take care of a sick relative. If you're going to be away for more than 4 weeks, let your area housing officer know. That way we won't think you've moved out. If you don't have a driveway, parking can sometimes be a problem. Please ensure you park only in designated spaces, never on grass verges, and please be especially considerate if you have more than one vehicle in your household. If you have a garden, you will need to keep hedges and grass cut and trimmed, and don't let rubbish pile up in the garden. It's unpleasant for your neighbours to look at and will attract vermin. If you can't look after the garden yourself, try and see whether relatives or friends can help you, or failing that, seek help from local volunteer agencies. Your area housing officer may be able to help with advice and information. Running a business from home is not allowed without our permission. We are unlikely to give this if it involves extra vehicles or visitors calling at your home, or may cause a nuisance to your neighbours. If we give permission, you may have to apply to the council's planning department for change of use. Many tenants keep pets. If you live in a home with a garden or a door that opens directly outside, you can keep one dog or cat, but you will need our permission if you wish to have any further animals. Any permission we give to keep a pet may be withdrawn if they cause a nuisance. Please note, you don't need our permission to keep a caged bird or fish in a tank, or other small animals such as hamsters or rabbits. If you live in a flat, please be considerate to your neighbours and keep the communal areas clean and tidy. Don't store items in communal hallways or under stairs. Not only can these be a fire risk, but they may cause injury to people trying to escape a fire and could be a general trip hazard. New Saffron tenants do not have the right to buy their homes. However, if you were a tenant of the council when we took over its homes in 2004, you may have what is called the preserved right to buy. New tenants may have the right to acquire, but to qualify for this, both you and your home need to meet certain criteria. If you think you might want to buy or acquire your home, ask your area housing officer for more information.
Now, you mentioned supported housing. Well, Saffron provides 2 different types of supported housing, sheltered housing and housing with care, and also provides a service called contact care, which is a personal alarm service. Saffron's aim is to provide a quality and caring service for older and other vulnerable people. And we're going to have a look now at these supported housing services.
This is what's called sheltered housing, which basically means you have your own flat or bungalow with your own front door, and you live in a community with other people in similar accommodation around you. Plus you can use communal facilities like the lounge or the laundrette. We have an active social programme. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry I'm late. So if you want to get involved, there's bingo, music nights, trips out, and the odd game or 2 of cards. I'm also a member of the Sheltered Housing Panel, which is part of the Customer Advisory Panel, which is Saffron's main resident group. We have a scheme manager who is available to sort out and support us, and if we need help they can arrange it. My scheme manager helped me sort out my housing benefit. So now I can get a little extra help, money-wise,